Goal, a 2005 movie based on the fictional adventures of Santiago Muñez, a young, prolific goal scorer traveling from LA to Newcastle to ply his trade in the professional game. My name's Niran, I'm Nigerian, I don't have a very good haircut, and unlike every other football fan in the world, I've never seen this movie. If you know me, this shouldn't be a shock. I love the idea of a film, but I don't watch enough of them. To me, Harry Potter just sounds like a lead guitarist in a new indie band that's about to embark on its first UK tour. I do actually know who Harry Potter is. I'd just like to clarify, I very much like those films. If you don't like them, grow up. Think of all the money I've saved at the cinemas though. £37.50 on a small popcorn. I'm okay, thank you. So I thought I'd sit down, watch the protagonist in action, talk about my opinions and thoughts on the film, watching it for the first time as an adult. Why does this text at the start for the credits look like that advert you used to get at the cinemas? You wouldn't download a Newcastle. I'm not just gonna rehash the storyline because any normal person has seen this before, but for those that don't know, it starts with a Mexican family attempting to cross the border into America illegally. Santiago is but a child in this scene. He's holding a football that's clearly very dear to him. He drops it down a hill. He considers going back for it. There's police on the way about to lock up everybody. I rate the fact that he risked his entire family's well-being and future for a football, but ultimately he is the type of man that's gonna start betting on the Lithuanian 3rd division as an adult. Anyway, he's now grown, a teenager living in LA with his dad and with his grandma. And at this point, I started to notice something a little bit out of the ordinary.
4-2 kazandık. 2 gol birden attım. 3.'ü de atmalıydım.
Have I only just now realised I've been watching the first 7 minutes of this film in Turkish? All this time, I was wondering. So having realised I wasn't, in fact, a 27-year-old Istanbul resident and avid Beşiktaş supporter,
Come to Beşiktaş.
I proceeded with the rest of the film. So you're telling me this guy's got a leftover KFC bargain bucket as his shin pads and he's still contributed more this season than Aubameyang? Turns out he works in a Chinese restaurant doing the dirty work in the kitchen, and his future career moves started to make a little bit more sense to me. Now obviously I know a bit about this film and he ends up signing for Newcastle United. It's no surprise they went in from. The guy's working on minimum wage in a Chinese restaurant. Mike Ashley and Newcastle probably thought they could get him on a 0-hour contract. If you love bargains as much as these lot do, then you're gonna love today's sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, Pouch. Now, if you don't know already, Pouch is a free desktop browser extension, and what it does is search the web for the best voucher codes and then applies them automatically when you're doing a cheeky little shop online. It saves you a ton of time and money, and you barely have to do anything whatsoever. It does it for you. What is not to love? Now, as you can see, I like the odd classic shirt, all right? It's a shirt. It's classic. Now, what if I told you you could save those sweet, sweet pounds on them as well? When you add the item to your basket, you go to checkout, Pouch automatically pops up. You click on try codes, and as you can see, Pouch has saved me a decent amount of cash. Now I'm tempted to get another. Now, I'm from the UK and the vast majority of you guys are as well, so you'll be happy to know this works on 3,000 UK websites. That's more than any other browser extension that provides a similar service. So it would be rude not to give it a cheeky install. Just a couple of clicks and you can pin it to your browser here. It's super easy and simple to do. So you, all of you, click on the link down in the description to go and save yourselves some cash. Go and install Pouch yourselves. All you have to do, just this index finger, see that just there, that's a little click down, there you go. You'll thank me for it. Go and start saving some money. Now, the man who's going to try and assist Newcastle with this bargaining is in fact a character from Game of Thrones. Was half expecting somebody key in the storyline to just get daggered and the film to end right there.
Tommy, you're supposed to be on the wing!
It's not the cup final, he's 7 years old.
Jimmy, you're an advanced playmaker in a 4-2-3-1 system. What the f*** are you doing over there? Game of Thrones Don is a scout, or an ex-scout, who used to work for Newcastle United. Now he works in a garage, but for the sake of argument, we'll say that he works in Sports Direct. He's in LA and he happens to stumble upon Santiago scoring goals. And by that I mean dribbling past literally everybody in the state to score the most convoluted and elaborate goals imaginable. This man's dribbling past 12 players to score. He's dribbling past the entire opposition, then going back at the one guy he dislikes the most and dribbling past him for a second time. Understandably, the scout and his best mate on the touchline, Santiago Maradona, are very impressed by the situation. They sit down and have a talk with young Santi. Santi's dad is not too pleased. He's very pessimistic about the situation, about his son being a pro footballer. And I kind of like what they do with the dad, because for this reason, you want to be annoyed at him. You want to be like, for fuck's sake, I know how this storyline's going to go. Let your son be a footballer, damn it. But it makes sense. This guy's lived through trouble and strife in Mexico. He's had to move his family illegally to the US just to provide for them. So naturally, he's not going to want his son to go off and chase some dream in Europe because he wants some stability for him. You want to hate him, you want to be annoyed at him, but you understand his struggles and his concerns, and you understand his life a bit more. It was about this point, and I think this is like roughly 20 minutes, 25 minutes into the film as well, that I started to feel nostalgic. Bear in mind, I've never watched this film before, but it was still hitting me with waves and waves of nostalgia, whether that be when it comes to filming techniques, whether it comes to music being used. The soundtrack is incredible. You know, obviously there was the stuff like seeing kits and old players that I'll get into in a minute, but just generally speaking, it was coming together, and despite having never watched it before, I started to feel like I was a kid.
So, then, how do I get to Newcastle?
Anyway, Santiago keeps banging it for his amateur team. His dad is still unnecessarily angry at every possible opportunity. The scout Don from Newcastle manages to organise a trial with the current manager, who's this fictional German Don, if Santiago can afford to go on the plane himself. To me, that seems pretty cruel. About this time, over in Newcastle, we meet another fictional character by the name of Gavin Harris, an extravagant playboy-style footballer who commands a big fee, and we can get my immediate thoughts on him.
I like to win matches, so maximum points shouldn't be a problem.
Gavin's a knobhead, and you could tell. Maximum points shouldn't be an issue. You look like you have more points on your driver's license, lad. Santiago's been saving up money for tickets to England, but his dad steals it to buy a truck that he needed for the business. Santiago gets vexed. His grandma ends up paying for it. Santiago then travels over to Newcastle.
This young man wants to play for your team, Mr. Henderson.
Newcastle?
Yes, sir.
Need all the help we can get.
After wandering around Newcastle, seeing the beautiful sights, meeting the locals,
Hey, mister, you have more ball back.
and generally experiencing rain for the first time in his 18 years of life, he starts to settle in, and it's actually a really good representation of the strong link and bond that football has with Newcastle. I can tell that people who were involved in the writing of this film are actually, like, probably a lot of people involved in the writing of the film were born and raised in Newcastle. The characters he stumbles upon in coffee shops in Newcastle, the way people perceive the team as always underachieving, but we just get behind them anyway, and obviously the fact that in certain cities in England, you know, you've got multiple different teams, you know, Manchester, Liverpool, London, etc. But in Newcastle, it is just Newcastle United, and that's it. Everyone lives and breathes that football club. It's the main sport there. I wouldn't even argue there's many people who are interested in any other sport in Newcastle. And it also shows off, like, the harsh realities of being a young footballer. Like, obviously, it's a Hollywood-style ending. I hate to break it to you, lads, but I don't want to spoil the storyline, but you should probably know by now. It does show the harsh realities as well. Like, he goes into his first training session, he's just come from LA, he's not played in a muddy field before in the depths of Newcastle, and he gets battered about, has a stinker of a game in a trial, and then the manager decides after one sitting, that's it, he's done. He's had a stinker, bless him, and now he looks like he's in a Head and Shoulders advert. It just keeps going downhill. And also, what's cool is you've got real life cameos as well. Like, it pans to actual Newcastle United players. Obviously, Alan Shearer, Kieran Dyer was there at the time, Jermaine Genius. That got severely less glamorous as we went along. Laurent Robert, he's French, isn't he? But it's not just them as well. David Beckham appears later on, Zinedine Zidane, Raul, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard. I'm not entirely sure if they're superimposed onto other models during Premier League games that Santiago ends up playing in. Imagine this sort of film now. Anyway, after his stinker of a session, the scout manages to convince the manager that he should be given another chance. He's never played in conditions situations like that before, and so he's getting his first medical checkup. I know where this is going. Santiago, it's a trap. Focus on the football, lad. She's paying. All right, I'll allow it. He has his first appointment with her, and you can tell via subtle eye movement and general ambience that an outlandish amount of sexual intercourse occurred afterwards. She complains to HR and the film is over again. Multiple shags later and Santiago is in trouble again. He's lied about not having asthma, he takes his inhaler everywhere with him and he has to have puffs before a game starts. And a Don, who it's fair to say doesn't really like him at the football club.
Dining with the bum bandit today, are we, Jamie?
Whoever that is, racist. I don't know him in real life as well. Not just the actor, he's acting that a little bit too well. Steps on his inhaler and ensures that he can't use it before his first big reserves match. His lungs depart his body in the first 10 minutes of the fixture and the manager's like, nah fam. And honestly, it's no surprise with tech like this. The man looks like he's fighting for his life every time he goes for a volley. At this stage, I loved everything about the film, but the one thing I would say, I guess it is targeted for a young audience that's getting into football, but the actual legitimacy of this man's football technique was shocking. They needed to at least hire either a stunt double, it's not really a stunt, he's just a double at that point, but someone who could actually kick ball properly, or the original actor needed to be able to do it properly. Anyway, after more lines than a tube map, our friend Gavin Harris wakes up at the end of a night out, late for training as per usual, and convinces the manager that actually it was a problem with his lungs and that's the reason why he was off colour. You start to wonder just how many chances Santiago's gonna have in this team, but I guess it shows his tenacity, and he's very like his dad in that it's not really something that's discussed much in the film, but I think he's more like his dad than he actually realises. His dad managed to get his family over from Mexico into the US and worked extremely hard to support his fam. Santiago himself is very driven and won't let anything get past him, even having literally been released by the club twice. After impressing the fans with goals in reserves matches, Santi gets his chance in the first team due to a mass amount of injuries in the forward department against Fulham.
You know what I played against Fulham?
Oh, this is so nostalgic. This is actually class. I'm a massive fan of this at this point. We love to see it, lads. 1-0 victory. Muñez with the assist. Solid fantasy football points. He wasn't on fantasy after one game. Fantasy football didn't even exist in these times. But he starts to indulge in the nightlife of Newcastle. And in a record only attainable by Raheem Sterling, it takes him approximately 16 seconds to be obliterated by the UK media. If there's one thing the Daily Mail's taught me, it's never allow a man with a camera into your orgy. His club doctor girlfriend says she's leaving him and taking the kids. They don't have any kids. That would be very quick to be fair. He's only been at the club for a month. And his best mate at the club, who he'd been training with and had shown him around Newcastle, originally picks up a horror injury that might well end his career. Again, it's kind of Hollywood, but it does kind of represent the trials and tribulations. And I know everyone says, oh, being a footballer, woe is me, it's an easy job. But the temptation of going out and having any woman that you want must be a very difficult one for certain players to resist. And then just in case the mental side of it couldn't get any worse, Santiago's father passes away of a heart attack back in LA. Now, to Santi's knowledge, his dad never watched him play. He's obviously very sad, but he kind of uses that motivation to drive him. Turns out though his dad actually did go to a pub and watch his son play against Fulham. Full ham, not half a ham. It was so much more sad than if his dad had just died. The fact that his dad actually cared about it and that his son never really realised that his dad actually cared about him is actually a really good storyline point. Anyway, the final game of the season is on the horizon, and after inspiring a victory against Fulham, winning a penalty that saw them win the game, and he's not going to get anywhere because he's still got tech like this. They're playing Liverpool. Whoever wins the game gets into the Champions League. Oh, it has to be Liverpool, doesn't it, for the final Champions League spot. So now I've got to feel depressed at the end of the film because my team's not even going to get into European competition. It's the final game of the season. The tension is high and Newcastle take a 1-goal lead. But soon enough, Liverpool turn the game on its head. Santiago's grandma is in the very same pub that his dad was watching the Fulham game in. Oh, okay, that's made me feel good. I'm glad that they know that his dad went now. I'm gonna cry at this film. Oh, Howard Webb's in it as well. How's he got a cameo? In an evolution Adama Traore is yet to discover, Santiago learns how to pass the ball and grabs himself an assist.
it's an equaliser.
Once again, though, goals just aren't really making any sense. I'm sorry, but why is the keeper dived out of the way? Look, I know this is a big moment, all right? Munez has just got an assist, but I don't think we can allow that to run. But look, we love the drama. His grandma's loving it. The Newcastle fans are petrified. There's only 5 minutes of the game left to go. Newcastle need another goal. They win a free kick on the edge of the area, and who better to take it than the new kid on the block? Santiago is stepping over it, and he slaps it into the top corner. Martin Tyler, who's been commentating throughout the whole film, goes wild. It's a feel-good climax. Everybody's loving it. The scouts in the crowd. His missus is in the crowd. How's he managed to see her in the whole crowd then? There's about 50,000 people at this game. His grandma's going wild. She calls Santiago literally as they get. I think we're still in additional time, and somehow the Don's got his phone on him. He picks it up. His grandma tells him. Santiago's gassed about the fact that his dad actually did care. And the moral of the story? Liverpool are shit. And that pretty much is where it ends. Newcastle end up in the Champions League thanks to their new young starlet from Mexico, Santiago Munez, who proved the fans wrong, proved some of his players wrong, proved his dad wrong, and made the impossible dream a reality. Man, I should have written the trailer for this film. But yeah, overall, obviously, yeah, the storyline's perfect, but it's targeted for an audience that's growing up and loving the magic of football, and that really does encapsulate the magic of football. It's like what the FIFA Journey storyline attempted to be, and there's a part of me that really wishes I'd watched this as a youngster, because I would really have the nostalgia, but as I mentioned before, like, I was feeling nostalgia and feeling stuff as if I was young watching it and hearing songs and looking at the production and just feeling that nostalgia anyway, which I think is a testament to how good the film actually is. Obviously, there's further goal films, so if you want me to react to those in the future, then I'm happy to do so. Yeah, it gets like honestly, a 9.5 out of 10. You know, making you feel that magic of what football can do, how it can revolutionize an area, a city, and just generally people's lives. But anyway, as I said, really did enjoy. If you want me to do more of this style of content, then let me know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, slap a like on it and subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.